funny to me. They even had on sweaters. They had on the Christmas sweaters, the Christmas hat. So they were even dressed like it was cold outside. It's almost 90 degrees out here today in the Charlotte area. I mean, and it's humid. And they're wearing sweaters and all of this good stuff. And it was just so funny to me. So I just said that to guard that wallet. Don't let uh, the holiday spirit undo all of your wallet wins. So speaking of wallet wins, we have three here. We're going to cover those. Then we'll get into the question. Wallet win number one was approved for my debt consolidation loan. So that is a good wallet win. Hopefully, there's a plan in place, get the debt consolidation to get to get some of those high interest rates lowered and everything, and then put as much resources as possible towards paying off the debt consolidation loan. Uh, Wallet win number two, I have increased my IRA contribution by 5%. It is a good wallet win, yes. Anytime you make contributions toward retirement, that's always a good thing. I'm going. I've been reading a lot about what um, generation, when did they start, saving for retirement, and it's really not a good picture. It's happening, but not nearly as much as it should be, and what it's doing, since a lot of people they waited late to start contributing to a retirement and all that and everything. Now that the baby boomers, they're well into retirement. We have the next generation, the X, going into it, and the X, they're not like prepared what to well prepared for retirement, and now they're like buying products, financial products that really doesn't fit well into their plan, but because it's promising these returns and high, large amounts of money will be waiting for you, in 10 years or whatever, and that's just not the case. It's not the case, and because of that, because of not planning, they're falling victim to not exactly, they're not scammers. They are products that have their place. It's just not in that particular, that's just not what it was created to do, and it can't do that. It can't do it. So and so people are trying to play catch up. There are better ways to kind of make up, you know make up for it, make up some time and everything. um, and we have those conversations quite a bit. Give us a call here and we'll look at the situation. We do 1 hour consultation free, and we'll look at those situations, because that's what we're trying to do, is to keep you from falling victim to those types of products and situations and salespeople later on in life, when you're at your most vulnerable and you don't really have many options. And so it's like the stock market. It's like anything. It reacts to fear and greed, and so it knows you're in that fear mode, and you're looking for answers and solutions and something to ease this pain that you're in now, which is a bad financial situation. And there's just a group out there that will take advantage of it. So yeah, that's a good one. I have increased my IRA contribution by 5%. Wallet win number three, entered all of my financial info into my budgeting app. Yep, good start. Good start. Uh, that's a that's not exactly a small step. That's usually the hardest part, is getting over that hump, the inertia, and now you have to put all of this information into an app, or a spreadsheet or whatever. Uh, but you get a quick education about your financial situation by that first step, which is getting everything in one place, and document it, written down on paper, and you can see it. So that is a big time wallet win. So we have three wallet wins there that will definitely move you forward financially. And so let's protect them. You made three good wallet wins. Let's not allow the marketers to come and undo it. So yeah. All right, let's get into this question today. Um, this was actually from someone just starting out, and they were saying, I'm wanting to start building my credit, and I'm about to sign a lease to rent a house. How can I make sure that paying my rent will help with building my credit? All right, um, that's an excellent question Number one, to build credit in the beginning, there's only a few options that you have. And, young adult out on their own now, looking for that first place. Um, and that puts you, that's your largest expense. It's either your rent or your mortgage. It's usually your largest monthly expense. And so you want that to be in the positive. If you're paying it every month, you want to get credit for it, because that does carry a lot of weight on your credit report, and building your FICO score. So the 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 upside, I just named those upsides. If it's being reported, it's good. But usually, in this particular case setup where they will be renting a house. A lot of times, you're dealing with smaller investors. They usually maybe own a house or two, and they have it up for rent. And so you're not dealing with a business. So most of the time, they don't report. They don't report this. It has to be reported for you to get credit. On the mortgage side, you pay your mortgage, it's reported every time you do it, whether it's on, did you pay it? Did you pay it on time? Things like that. Rent, it all depends. Um, and you have to make sure that it's being reported. Now, you can make what they call your you have two options. Let me get myself together here. You have two options when you're wanting to make sure it's reported. Either your landlord can be reporting it for you, or you have to report it yourself. The landlord, if you're with a large apartment complexes, things like that, most of the time it's being reported. They have a reporting agency. They work with a reporting agency. A rent reporting service is what it's called. If you wanted to Google it, you could Google rent reporting service just to learn more about it. Most apartment complexes, that's what they use, rent reporting services. When it's paid, it is reported like everything else, and it's tied to. It's supposed to be. It depends on the service that they're using. Most of the time, the large apartment complexes, they're using the rent reporting services that report to all three credit bureaus. Not all rent reporting services do that. Uh, so that's a question that you have to ask uh, when you're dealing with someone. Now, if it's an individual, if it's someone that's independent, small investor, one or two properties, they probably are not using a rent reporting service like a property management company is. And some investors, they may have their property with the property management company. And so then the question is, do they report? Do they also report to the rent reporting service, to all three credit bureaus? But if not, you have the other option, which is to do it yourself. Like I said, you would go and Google rent reporting services and find the one that would fit for you, because they're all they're not all created equal. They're like apps. They're almost like apps now, like Zelle, Cash App, things like that. They all operate a little bit differently. And so you have to find one. You want the one, two things. You want to make sure there's one that is credible. They've been around for a while, because these aren't new services. They're a very old service. They've been used for a long time. Um, Make sure it's been around for a long time. The fee, most of the time, they're between $3 to $4 a month. It's like a subscription type thing. Um, and does it report to all three credit bureaus? Those are the top three. You want to make sure, if you had to do it yourself, then you have to make sure and let the landlord know that that's what you're doing, because when you pay, basically the way most operate, they connect with your bank account, and you pay through the rent reporting service. They make the payment to the landlord, so the landlord has to know this, that it will be, some do, some don't, it all depends. That's why I say you have to do your research on them. Then the landlord, they receive the payment. So you have to let them know. They're going to ask, how are you going to pay. And which brings up another caveat. A lot of times, landlords, especially smaller landlords, they want to be paid by either check or now, they're getting into the Zelle, Cash App, just Zelle or Cash App me. Um, that's hard to, it's not impossible to track, but it does bring in a lot of headaches. You would rather just deal with a rent reporting service who's tried and true, who's known by all of the bureaus, things like that. Zelle, you have to, if you start wanting to use your credit, for instance, to get a mortgage or something like that, you have to have all of this record keeping in place. Um, then it's one of those things to where they may have to still contact the landlord to say to verify what you've just told them and show them, because it's just easy. You can set up it's easy to set up fake accounts and everything now, make payments to them in the same amount of money, just keep, it circulates. And so then they still have to contact. Whereas with it, if you're working through a rent reporting service, then the banks, lending institutions, they're used to them. They deal with them all the time. That's really their preferred way of dealing. If you've been renting, if you're coming from renting to home ownership, that's how they would rather deal, because they know it's reputable and everything like that. So that's what you want to basically use. If you're going to a landlord, if it's an apartment complex, ask them, do you use rent reporting? What rent reporting service? Do they report to all three um, bureaus, everything like that? And if not, there's a ton of apartments out here today. In today's market, there's a ton of apartments. Then shop around and maybe look at a different apartment. If you're dealing with an individual investor, or a property management company, maybe it's a property management company that manage pockets of properties, not big apartment complexes, but for individual investors, things like that. You would want to ask them what rent reporting service do they use, and then you have your checklist. Like I say, just Google for them. Just Google rent reporting service. I know Fannie Mae has they have an agreement with a company, USUR, I think that's what it is, a financial institution, and they provide it free. You can set up an account with them free, so you could go to Fannie Mae and put in rent reporting, and you could actually set up an account with them, and that's Fannie Mae. Fannie Mae pretty much runs the real estate market, as far as the financial side of it. So that one is very reputable because they put it together. They've made the agreement. That's the one that I know that everyone likes. There's other good ones out there, but just Google it and do some research right here. There's a few questions, like I say, to make sure to verify how much does it cost. Does the service, report to all three credit bureaus? How are late or missed payments handled? That's one is important. Is my data secure? Important. And what's the cancellation policy? Because if you're not happy with it, can I get out of it? If I don't like it, or if I find a better one for me, can I get out of it? Some of them, they have fees, and some of them you sign contracts and you'll subscribe to it for a certain amount of time. So that's just some of the quick rundowns for it. So I hope that helped. Just the takeaway is rent reporting service. You want to Google that. Talk to the landlord or your property management company or the apartment complex that you're renting from to decide if they can do it or if you're going to have to do it yourself. It's not a it's not complicated at all. It's just an account, linked to your banking institution, just like every other thing. It's like doing bill pay, stuff like that, auto pay. It's the same thing. That's what it is. It's auto pay for rent is what it is. That's all that it is. So it's nothing to be nervous about. It's been out there forever. Um, I learned about it over 20 years ago. So yeah, and it was actually an apartment manager. She was a guest on the show. I went to one of their meetings, and she was president over the apartment association, and she was talking about it. She had like three of them up there, and she was talking about which ones work for what certain situation. So they've been around for a long time. So nothing to be nervous about. So I hope that answered the question. Um, and if you need any more information, contact us, and we'll answer the question the best we can. Which leads us to the question of the day: have you pulled your free credit report to make sure everything is correct? Since we're talking about how things are your rent being reported to the credit bureau um, agencies, have you had your annual? It's free. You get one every year free. Have you had it pulled to make sure everything is correct? Because 1 in 5, basically 20% of all credit reports has errors. At least, yeah, yeah, 20%, like 1 in 5 people have an error on their credit report. So you want to pull your credit. You get up into the millions and millions. That's a lot of people with inaccurate credit reporting going on. So have your credit pulled. It's free. You can even, most of the time now, it's like crazy easy. You can go to your bank now. The bank will do it for you. They'll pull your credit report and go over it with you. I know when I would go into, I don't go into branches as much as I used to. Every time I went in, you need your credit pulled? No, I've already done it and all this. Oh, okay. Okay. If you have any questions, bring it by and we'll look at it and all this. Yeah, you want to look at it, see how much money you're gonna try to make me leave out of here. But that's what they do. It's a free service for dealing with the banks and other lending institutions, credit unions, they all do it now. So have the credit report pulled. And with that being said, thank you for tuning in. Like the show, share it, subscribe, and until tomorrow, remember, it's only money. Don't get nervous.